families that are looking for help. They think they have, or they may or may not have a student athlete that wants to play at the next level.
Yeah.
What are some tips that you might provide to those families that are looking for assistance in helping them get to that next level?
Good question. I think the biggest thing, John, initially right off the bat that a family needs to do is they need to have a sit down conversation as a family, and they need to understand that this is a commitment at the end of the day. Is it going to be the time and the effort that you want to put forth to playing in college? Because I'm sure during your experience, in being an umpire, you know what it takes also to play at that level. And now that you've got kids, that may go through the process as well, it's no easy task. And I have always taken the mindset that to be a college athlete, it's a privilege, it's not a right. There's a lot that goes into the process. It's tricky, it's confusing, it is frustrating more so than anything else. But I look back on my college experience, and to say that I'm a former Division I athlete is huge. I mean, it opened up a lot of doors for me. It really, gave me a lot of insight that I don't think I would have had just as a normal student. I'm biased, and I like to think we're a breed of our own. Don't get me wrong. But I think it's very important to at least start those conversations. And if, a son or a daughter that is, kind of teetering on that is saying, hey, you know what, I have a passion for it, I think that's at least a good starting point to then start looking at what opportunities are out there. Once you guys got to that point and saying, hey, you know what, I'm in it, I'm in it to win it. My goal is definitely to compete at the college level. I think it's really important to link up with someone that provides resources on a lot of different levels, not just necessarily exposure, but more importantly on the education. Because from my perspective, I had the exposure. I had that package. That was a no-brainer for me. What I felt like I lacked in my recruiting process was the guidance during some of those major milestones. I had no one to coach me up on what my first visit was going to look like. I had no one to coach me up on a first phone call to a college coach as I'm sitting there with my family. Looking back on it, those would have been some of the biggest pieces that I think would have been worthwhile and definitely valuable. So I think looking at it from an education standpoint, but also looking at it from getting an outside third party, unbiased evaluation, because I do think that's very helpful. My mom and dad, thankfully, were the type of parents that told me, you know what, you're good, but you can be better. They never had that chip on their shoulder and thought, I was the best kid on the field. And I think that really translated well to, the process overall, essentially. But we are very realistic that there are families out there that think, their child is the best, and that might be rightfully so. But it's very important to have someone that is not connected in any way, shape, or form that can provide that evaluation as well and really say, hey, these might be some good options and some levels that we may want to look at.
You touch on that, and honesty is the best policy, right? You can't fool everybody forever, and
exactly.
They may have the aspirations, or not aspirations, but the understanding that little Johnny's the best one in this particular town, and
for sure,
without remembering that there's so many more players just like Johnny, that same age, twice the size, twice as fast, that they just don't know about. And I can understand what you're saying from helping them understand, from a third party perspective, how good or not they are.
I think the other thing too that's really important too, John, for families to understand is that there's great, sports at all levels, and then there's mediocre, levels as well. It's not just the best of the best is at the Division I level. I mean, I've played against the Arizonas and the Cals, and coming from a mid-major Division I program, we held our own. I'm very, very proud to say that. But then there's also some teams that, could have easily been beat out by a Division II, an NAI or a junior college program. We went toe-to-toe with Minnesota Mankato in the fall, and they were a competitive D2 program. So I think that's where the education comes into play, and having families understand that you don't just need to go Division I, Division II, especially if you have high aspirations of being a quality athlete and racking up accolades or, making a name for yourself. You can do that at all levels as well. I mean, from my experience, I came in to Drake as, a top competitor on my travel team. I was ranked, one of the 50 players in Illinois to watch my senior year. I had the stats on paper, if you want to look at it that way, but that didn't mean that when I came in freshman year, my spot was given to me. It wasn't, and families need to understand that we might be the best of the best on your travel team, but it's a whole new ballgame when you get to that college level.
With the blast motion sensor, I feel like that's the quickest way you can get information. That's the quickest way you can make adjustments. If the technology is there to help you, we gotta take it.